Hey everyone.
Happy Wednesday. We'll wait just a few minutes, let you hop on with us here.
If you guys hop on, say hi, tell us where you're watching from.
Kathy and Lisa, Mandy, Florida, North Carolina, Oregon, Texas, from all over. Chelsea from Arkansas. All right, we have a good group with us already.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have some special guests with us today. If I can talk, we will get through this. Brendan and Dan are with us, and they're going to talk about the new EasyShoe Versa Glue Horseshoe and how it can benefit your horse.
As always, please make sure you get your questions in the comments. They are here to answer all of those. Or just tell us hi, let us know that you're watching with us. At the end of this segment, we are going to be giving away a pair of these shoes when we get them in. We don't quite have them yet, but they are coming soon. And with that, we're going to turn it over to you, gentlemen.
All right. Well, thanks, ladies. I appreciate you letting us be here. We always enjoy being here. I am Brendan Coulter, the Director of Sales for EasyCare. And today we are going to talk about the EasyShoe Versa Glue. Just a little bit of history and things with EasyCare. Our number one mission for our company is the improving the well-being of horses. So with that in mind, we develop products and design products for that use. So anyway, so I'll go through here and kind of give you a little bit of history of where we started from, where we've gotten to, show you some accessories and things like that. And then any technical questions we have, Dan's going to help us out with that. Dan Schroeder is a salesman for EasyCare. He handles our farriers and our vet segments. Dan is also a professional trimmer and farrier, been in business or, has been doing it for over 14 years. So certainly if you have some technical questions that way, Dan is a good resource for that. That's why we brought him on, so that he could answer those questions. So with that, I'll get started, and please feel free to ask questions along the way, and we'll stop and get those answered. So just as a little bit of history with the product line. EasyCare has been developing glue-on products, glue-on shoes for over 15 years. And throughout that time, we've continued to try to make advancements, improvements with those products. In addition to just the glue-on products, we also have another line of shoes that we came out, which are known as the Versa line of shoes that can be nailed on or glued on. And so when we first came out with that line, we came out with 4 unique styles. We had what was known as the Versa Grip, which is full metal throughout here. And then we came out with the Versa Gold, which is partial metal, so it doesn't have metal through the toe here. We came out with the Versa Grip with studs, which actually have integrated studs that you can put in the bottom here. And then the other product we did was the Versa Grip Light. So those were the 4 styles we started out with. And so those were all initially, nail-on type products, but also we decided we wanted to find ways to be able to glue those on, because they all have their benefits and use. So we wanted to be able to glue them on. So what we developed was a tab system that we use for the Versa line of shoes. This was the first one. We have 2 different types of tabs. We have just a urethane style here, and then we have a rubber coated urethane for those. And basically you would use the Versa Light here, or you could use one of the other shoes as well. And what you would do is you actually heat weld those tabs onto the shoe. And then once those have been heat welded to the shoe, then you would apply the shoe using super glue. So when you do that, basically after you have adhered or heat welded the tabs on, this is what the shoe would look like. And so this is an option for super gluing the shoes onto the horse. So then the next part is where we're actually talking about the EasyShoe Versa Glue. That application there, like I said, was with a super glue. What we want to do is, our owner, Garrett Ford, had some goals that he put this year for the company and for himself. And one of them was to come up with the easiest glue-on shoe for acrylic or urethane adhesives. Wanted something that was durable, something that's, anybody could use, something that you could reset. A lot of different components there. So what he developed and designed was taking the original pattern of the Versa Lite. We actually went ahead and we integrated cuffs or tabs onto the shoe. So in the past, where you might have, for example, like I said, the Versa Lite, and then you would add the tabs to that, you would have to heat weld those on there. These already come with the tabs adhered or attached to the shoe. Something to note is with the original Versa line of shoes that we were just talking about a minute ago, those have 18 sizes, front and hind patterns for those shoes. With the EasyShoe Versa Glue, we went with the 10 sizes of front and 10 sizes of hind, and the best-selling sizes that we have. So those, like I said, you can buy those already pre-done, set up like this. If you want this type of application, but we don't have the size pre-done the way what you need, you could buy our Versa Lite, and then we will be selling the tabs separate that you can actually heat weld onto these to, for a different size, for a smaller size or for a larger size if we don't have it. But currently we will have a size 114 to a size 150 in the EasyShoe Versa Glue. When we say 114 or 150, basically what that is that is the measurement, the widest part of the shoe in millimeters. So where some people might be familiar with an aught, a 1, different size metal shoes and things like that, we actually use millimeter measurements. And then in between each one of those sizes, so when I say 114 up to a 150, that means every shoe, the next size up, is going to be 4 millimeters in difference. So you would go from a 114 to a 118 to a 122, and so on. So those are, difference there. So that's how we measure that we have our shoes labeled on there. So now we can talk about the actual application of the shoe and what the benefits of this shoe are. So one of the challenges that we have, or a lot of people have with glue-on products, whether it be our glue-on shell or one of our competes or performances, is that, there's a couple things. One, you can't apply the shoe while the horse is standing in it. You would have to prep the hoof, keep it clean and dry, and then you would add your glue to the shoe, and then you would apply the shoe to the hoof. And then you're going to have to let it cure. You're going to have to hold it. You can't necessarily set it down. You're going to have to hold it till it cures. So if you have a horse that is not good about standing, that may have arthritis, may have some reason why it's painful for them to stand with one leg up like that, this allows you to actually apply the shoe, apply the glue with the horse standing in the shoe itself. So for example, what you're going to do with that is you're going to take the size that you believe you need here, make any modifications that you need. If you need to shorten up the back, if you need to trim the sides, anything you need to do to it, you're going to do that first. And then you're actually going to have the horse step into the shoe, and then you're going to set it down on the ground. There you go. Dan's got I meant to have one of those, Dan, so you can show him. So if that's
we'll pretend this is Fred.
Yep.
And slide Fred's foot in.
Perfect. Yes. So that shows exactly. So now the horse
bonus here is it fits really tight.
Yep. And that's the key we're trying to do. So one of the things you don't want when you glue is movement. The horse, if you set that down on another application type and the horse should shift or move, it's going to mess up the gluing application. You're going to have to start over probably, or you're going to have to try to readjust if the glue hasn't cured at that point in time. If it has cured and it's not sitting the way you want, you're going to have to make adjustments. You may have to pull it off, start over, and go from that. So with this application, the horse is standing in the shoe on the ground. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the glue tip from, say, your Vet Tech Adhere that you have, and you're just going to apply that into these holes here. So the way that works is there are some standoffs or some bumps that are on the inside of these cuffs or these tabs that allow, when you inject the glue in there, it actually allows it to spread out among the tab across there. And then what you can do is at that point, you can take shrink wrap. You can wrap the hoof and the shoe, let it cure. Once it's cured, 5-10 minutes on that one there, you can take the shrink wrap off or the cellophane off, and then you can buff off the edges, the excess glue that you have. You can clean up the hoof. You can apply, a super glue or something on the outside to help prevent moisture and things like that getting through. And then basically at that point in time, you're done. For the application side. So that's, the benefit to that is like I said, like Dan shows you there, the horse can stand there. It prevents movement. If the horse should pick up their hoof while you're in the middle of the process, the shoe's going to come with it. So you don't have to worry about it twisting and things like that. And then the other thing about prep. So if you're prepping a standard glue on shoe, because you will apply, with this type of application here, the clean and dry portion that you need to make sure is the sidewall of the hoof, because you're not applying any glue to the sole of the hoof. You're just doing it on the side. Whereas in our other applications, or some other ones you'll see out there, is that you're applying glue to the bottom as well. And so in those cases, you have to make sure it's clean, it's dry, and if you set that hoof back down on the ground, if it's dirty at all in there, you're going to affect your quality of gluing on there. So you're going to have to keep that sole clean. So setting it down is not going to work very well. Or if you are, you're going to have to put it into a product like the Zip that we sell to keep it dry while you're prepping other feet. And so in this case here, you're just taking care of the exterior of the wall or the side walls there. And so that's another one of the benefits there to that. So Dan, what have I missed in that? I'm sure there's things here. I mean, the one thing I would tell you, like I said, is with regard to the shoe itself, it's going to have the same benefits that our other shoes have, as far as concussion support. It does come with a debris guard on the inside that you can leave in or you can cut out, just like our other shoes. It has an aggressive tread pattern on there, so it's great for traction that way. You can apply studs and different things like that as well. I'll let Dan answer if there's anything I missed, but there are some accessories as well that we'll talk about after that.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really miss anything. With this shoe, just like any other glue-on shoe, your hoof prep is critical. Clean and dry, which everyone pretty much knows what clean is. You can see clean, but you can't see dry. So getting the hoof dry, so the glue will stick to the hoof, the dry hoof, instead of the moisture in the hoof, is the main part. And kind of a rule of thumb, if you're putting the shoe on and it's only lasting a week to 2 weeks, your prep was probably off. That's just it. If your prep is off, it'll come off in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And like Brendan said, these stay on really well. In fact, the owner of the company actually put a pair of these on and then videoed the horse out trotting around with no glue, and the shoes still stayed on. So that's a huge bonus to be able to make the horses more comfortable while we're trying to put the glue in.
Yeah.
So it's great. And I mean, you just take your tip and you go into each hole and you could see the glue fill in. So as this all gets filled in with glue, you can come out and finish with some glue around the edge. and then come up and run a bead of glue around the toe and then do the other side. So, it makes it a whole lot easier for the person applying the shoe and for the horse.
Yep. And just another thing is, we keep talking, Dan was talking about drying on there. So the one of the best ways to do those was just a little butane torch, and go through there and draw some of that moisture out of the hoof in there. So, and we have videos on prepping a hoof for glue. But like I said, the key on this one also is that, your preparation on the sidewall of the hoof, or on the exterior wall of the hoof, where you need to focus, where the tabs are going to be underneath the sole. Obviously, you want to clean, but I mean, you don't have to worry so much about the prep work underneath there because you're not having any glue adhere to the bottom of the sole. So another benefit to these type of urethane shoes that we have, and this goes for any of our Versa line on there, is going to be that, and like I said, we're going to talk about some accessories, but right now you can actually adjust breakover on these shoes by grinding back in the front here. You can look at leverage reduction. You can take more. You could grind off one side or the other side to get the pitch and to get what you need there. So, once again, we tend to have, we give you a little extra length in the back here. If you need that extra length, you can use it. If you don't, you can cut that off and you can grind it down. And that's why we call these the Versa, because they are so versatile. You can do a lot of different things with this shoe, or with any of our shoes in that line. The next thing I'll show you, we'll talk about, are some accessories that'll be coming along with these. The first one that we have is a 2.5 degree wedge. So oftentimes there's applications where a horse would need a wedge. Some people do a wedge on the bottom of the hoof, or some, but this one actually is integrated into the bottom, or to the top, I should say, of the shoe here. So what you have, like it says, 2.5 degrees, and these are sized to the shoe. So for example, this is a 130 size. This is a 130 sized wedge on here. For the wedges, we're going to do a front and a hind pattern on those. So once again, you need to select the right size and pattern for your wedge to go with the shoe that you're using. But basically, you're just simply going to put this into the bottom of the shoe here. Excuse me. And so what that's going to do is, there we go. Sorry. What you'll do is once you've got those applied, and let me show you what one looks like. Here we go. So once they're into the shoe here, what you'll have is you'll have 3 screws that you can apply to the bottom here. And so now you have, it's kind of hard to see there, but basically now you've just added 2.5 degrees to this, to the shoe. And then you can actually stack those as well. So if you wanted to go from 2.5 to a 5 degree, you just stack another one on top there, and then you apply your screws at that point in time to adhere that to the shoe. So, and once again, you could. Yep. Go ahead, Dan.
There's some little pegs, and I don't
yes.
know if you could see them. Some little pegs right here on the bottom of the pad, and there's corresponding some holes on the bottom of the shoe. So, when you put this in, as soon as you put it in, those pegs lock into those holes. So you've got it in the right spot. It's not going to be twisted sideways. So it's kind of self-applicating.
Right.
The pegs line up into the holes, and then you can go through and put your screws in.
Right. Exactly. And then, and just as a reference, the wedges that we have here, they also apply to the other line of shoes that the other Versas that we have, whether it be the grip or the gold or the lights. The thing to know about these is right now they're coming out. I mentioned we have 18 sizes of front and hinds on the other line of shoes. Currently, we're going to have 10 sizes of the wedges, front and hind, to match and to go with the Versa glue. But just want to let you know that you can use those on other shoes that we have, as long as we have the size for those. So that's, and they'll come in a pair on those. I should have mentioned as well, these shoes here are actually sold in as well in a pair on those. So when you buy those, the other accessory that we have that's new, and this was designed. Both of these were designed by our owner, Garrett Ford, but we have what's known as a rocker. And I'm going to let Dan talk about this, but I'll show you kind of how it applies. But basically, this is a unit that can go underneath the bottom of the shoe, and we have our tread pattern that's here, and we have a corresponding system that actually allows it just to go in and lock into that spot there that we have. And then basically what you have once you lock them in is now you have a rocker that actually, so you can see it kind of gets wider and it just is offset on there. So then this is just applied with screws on the bottom. What's nice about this application here is that you can actually have the shoe on the horse, and then you can add the add the rocker, and then you can actually make adjustments to it. You can let them walk, see how they go, and see what you need to take off. You can pull off the rocker. You can make adjustments, grinding it down on one side or the other side, or wherever you need to, and then you can just apply it to the bottom of the shoe again without having to remove the shoe or anything else in there. But Dan, I'll let you talk a little bit about the uses of the rocker and some of the benefits of that with the application there.
Yeah, this rocker, there are other shoes on the market that it's kind of just like this, and you nail it on. And before you nail it on, hopefully you're working with your vet and you're kind of going on the idea that yes, they need the rocker. With our shoe, and again, these will fit any of the Versa line. They all come with a corresponding size. So, but the benefit is we could put this shoe on, see how the horse moves. We've already watched him before he had the shoe on. We've now put this one on. Now we can go through and attach this to the bottom. And at that point, now we can walk the horse again, put a couple screws in it, walk the horse. If it's beneficial, then we could keep it on, and maybe we can adjust. We could do, if you've got a horse with side bone or ring bone, maybe some of the different effects of navicular, you can go ahead and grind one side, leave the other side high, and do kind of a custom orthotic for your horse. But the best part is you can do a little bit, walk them and see how it goes. This material wears extremely well on the horse, but it will rasp off just the same way that a hoof wall will. So, if you need to make small adjustments, you can hit it with your rasp, you can hit it with an angle grinder, and then go and try it again. But the bonus is, if this is not adding any benefit, we could take a couple screws out and we don't need to apply it. Or let's say you're in a really rugged terrain where it's getting a lot of wear, and somewhere down the road this is worn out, take a couple screws out, put a brand new one on. I don't think that's going to happen because these shoes wear unbelievably well, and the rocker is made out of the same urethane, so I don't see that as being an issue, but it's available. Being able to take it on and off without having to reapply the shoe is fantastic.
Yeah. And one more thing, so we're talking about application and removal. One of the things that I failed to mention on here is that, so these shoes, as well as our other lines, you can reset these. So initially when we came out with these, we were looking at the best way to remove them. And one of the ways was to take a toe knife and actually put it in the front here, and then basically just cut back the tabs, leaving them adhered to the wall of the hoof. And then you'd pull the shoe off, and then you would just peel back the tabs on that. And then that was one way of doing those. We have found people now, after testing and having them out in and being used by certain people, that you are able to, in certain cases, be able to gently pull back the tabs and actually take them off of the hoof wall like that intact. And then you can clean up the sides, and then you can reapply. But if you try that and you should mess up the tab, you can cut the tab off, you can grind it back. And like I said, we will have the cuffs sold, or the tabs sold separately. You can just heat weld those back on, put your shoe back on and keep going down the road. Because as Dan said, these wear really well, and it always depends upon your where you're using them at. If it's an arena horse, or if it's a road horse, or if it's a trail horse, or whatever event you're doing is, you're going to have different wear. But really, we found that the wear on these, they do exceptionally well. We're getting multiple resets out of all of our shoes that way, and sometimes you're getting 3 and 4 sets, and sometimes you're getting 2, just depending upon what you're doing with them. But with that, we might open it up for some questions and see some other things may come up. But let's start with some questions.
Yeah. So Kay is asking, how is the correct size determined for the prepped hoof?
Dan,
We'll do a demo here. This is your
There
prep
you go.
hoof. You could take any kind of a ruler, if it's in millimeters, measure across the widest part of the foot, get your millimeter, read your ruler, get your millimeters, and then let's say it's a 124 millimeters. Now we have a 122 and we have a 126. So you would, if you're measuring 124, you'd want to get the 126. And then again, with the 126, you could just grind, and I mean, we're talking 2 millimeters. It's not much. You can grind that off. You can rasp it off. You can adjust it, with your grinding materials.
All right. Chelsea had a question. Are you able to leave them on the normal amount of time between trims, or is trimming needed more often?
No, you can. Yeah, normal trim cycle is accurate. And like I said, we've gone longer, sometimes unintentional in our testing, just because you don't quite get back as soon as you wanted to. But no, you can leave them on for a full trim cycle. So if you're on a 6 or 8 week trim cycle, you can certainly do that. Yeah, no problem there.
Debbie was wondering, are these good for mild navicular?
Yes. The frog support on the back and being in a heart bar style, it lends fantastic support to the back part of the foot. And you can go in and do different like pour-in applications for extra support. So for navicular issues, absolutely, these have been working phenomenal for those types of situations.
All right. Lori had a question. Can you rasp this material to make adjustments during the wearing cycle?
Yes. One of the things I'll mention there is, when you put this on, let's say your horse, instead of breaking over completely straight forward, maybe they break over this way. And so they will wear this part of the shoe down a little quicker than the rest of it. But once they get that wore down to where it's kind of that perfect fit, at that point it stays. It doesn't wear down anymore. So, I always say this is the shoe that'll make a farrier look like they're a genius, because they allow the horse to wear the shoe the way they want it.
Yeah, good.
Okay, Joanne asked, would you recommend these shoes for a horse that suffers or is laminitic?
Yes and no. Being a laminitic horse, that in some situations, yes. If it's an acute situation where we're still in an active bout of laminitis, I don't think I would go ahead and put these on until whatever's causing the laminitis, until you get that situation resolved. I wouldn't put anything on super permanent at that, before that. So yes, they will work for laminitis, but you desperately need to be working with your farrier, possibly a vet, to get your timing correct.
All right. Lori asked, how do you get them off?
So,
well,
Dan, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, Brendan talked about using a towing knife, and you can, with a towing knife, you can insert it right here and just go through and cut the tab off. And then once the shoe is off and the tab is still on, you can grab the edge of this with an old pair of nippers or your shoe pull-offs and just peel it off. Now, and Brendan said this too, there have been a few people that have grabbed these and pulled it off while it was on the shoe. It's absolutely going to make it more difficult, but in certain situations, it's possible. Yep.
Stephanie said she missed the beginning. Stephanie, will it be available on our Facebook page and YouTube page? So you'll be able to go back and watch it.
Yep.
And you guys kind of touched on this, how many times the shoe can be used.
Yeah, it's going to depend on, once again, on how you're using the horse and what you're doing. But definitely we expect multiple resets on these shoes. Like I said, sometimes it's 2 times. It can be more, just depending upon what you're doing.
The only people I've heard of that didn't get a reset were some folks up in Alaska that were doing, I don't remember what they call it, but it's some major competitive trail riding, the whole man from Snowy River off the mountain sort of thing. But most people other than that, like Brendan said, they're getting at least 1 or 2. And one of these pairs I put on here in Tennessee where we live on an arena horse. And a year after I put the shoe on, he left the barn with the same shoe on. So they wear really well.
Deanna wants to know if these will come in black. Any plans for more colors? Or
at this point in time, we don't have any plans for black on those. I don't know, Dan, we had people who've actually painted over them, I think, for some sort of
I mean, you could hoof black it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The cuff, I think being plastic, it would stick for a little while, but I'm guessing it would come off fairly soon. Yeah.
Okay.
If you ride through the mud, they turn a grayish tan. So
there you go.
Chelsea asked, does the glue have long-term effects on the hoof if used consistently?
No. There's horses that I know of that have been in some sort of a glue-on product for years, and it does not affect the hoof.
Okay. Megan is asking about high temp areas. How does the glue perform?
High temperatures, no. If you are in muddy, terribly wet situations, it may cause the shoe to come off early. But again, that goes with your hoof prep. In the high temp situations, pay attention to your temperature when you're putting your glue on. Those glues are set to react to a 70 degree temperature. So if you're in a high temp area and you get your glue out and that glue gets really hot, it's going to set up immediately. And so, that would be something. But in a high desert kind of really hot area, you shouldn't have any issue.
Okay.
Do you make glue on sliders?
I'm not sure what they mean by that.
Jerry asked, do you make glue on sliders?
We do not.
Would Mandy ask if this shoe would be okay for cross-country jumping off banks through water? Does the shoe grip to grass or is it slick? Can regular studs be used in these shoes?
Dan?
That's a multi-part question, so I'll try and hit all that. Will these shoes could they be used for jumping? Yes. We do have some dealers that are or some farriers that are putting the Versa line of shoes on jumpers. Now, there's a couple, and Brendan's got one. We make a studded version that you can insert studs in the heels.
For a Versa, yeah.
Yes, and one of the other things that some of the farriers have been doing to get a little extra support or stability. They'll use one of the shoes with the clips. So as they come over that jump, the clip will help with the shear force. Now, that is not this glue-on shoe, but you could take the tabs and weld those onto one of our other shoes, where either the studded shoe or let's say the grip, right, and then glue it on. So, but like I said, the 11 finger tabs with the super glue on the Versa grips and the grip golds, we have people jumping in those right now.
Yep.
All right, Kristen has a question here. I have a horse in 110s, so she will need the cuffs welded on. My issue with the Performance NG was the cuffs were too far back on the shoe and did not have a close fit at the heel. Suggestions?
Yep. So, Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but so if you need a 110 on our others line of shoes, so currently right now, like I said, the cuffed ones we don't have in a 110, we have the 114. So if that's not going to work for you, then we have the other type of Versa shoes that, like Dan said, you could take the Versa. Let me see if I have it here. Yep. You could take a Versa Light, and then you could get the weld-on tabs, and then you can just put that wherever you decide you want to have it on the shoe. So that's the nice thing about that. You can do the adjustments to the shoe, and then you can actually heat weld on the tabs. And if you need them further to the back or you need them further to the front, you can make those adjustments and do that if you want them.
Yep.
That would be my suggestion.
Yep.
All right. Lindsay said she has a question. When will they be available? I want to get them on my Founder Rehab ASAP, especially with the rocker ad on available.
Okay. So that when they're available is a little tricky. Right now, like I said, we have 10 sizes front and hinds. In an effort to try to get these sooner, we tried to expedite a shipment of the 7 of the, so starting at the 114 and moving up 7 sizes. We're having those brought in sooner. So those should be available. We're hoping in the next 2 weeks is when those would get here. Along with the some of the rockers and the wedges. Once again, we're trying to expedite those as well to get those over sooner within the next few weeks. The remaining sizes, the larger sizes of these shoes, won't be available probably till the middle of July. If we can, shipping's very difficult right now, as is everything else. So, best case scenario, the 7 sizes we have expedited should be here within 2 weeks. And then the other ones will be, the remainder of those will be coming in middle of July.
She had a little more on there. She said, I'm working with a slipper foot, so I'm assuming I can let the dead slipper toe hang over the front or even be aggressive and take it off with the support of the shoe being there. If I were to use dental impression material, what do you suggest to use to keep material in?
The dental impression material will actually work on these really, really well. What I will do with it when I apply it, these shoes are about 1/2 inch thick. So the center hole is about 1/2 inch thick also. I will bring that impression material up to where it fills like 2/3 of this space here. And at that point, this will hold the impression material really still under the foot. It kind of locks it in place. So yes, the impression material will work. Can you leave the toe hanging over? Yes, you can. And once it's on, I would just kind of bevel that foot, so as they're rocking over, it's a constant or a nice single motion.
Mandy is asking, how would you clean the glue off before replacing with another shoe?
You could use a rasp or the hoof buffy, either one.
Lori's asking about cold weather application. She said her current glue-ons don't work well in winter because the glue has different thermal properties.
I'm not gonna lie, cold weather application makes everything, the whole world difficult. Um, if you can keep everything you've got at a similar temperature, warm up, make sure your glue is warm, because if your glue is really cold, it's not going to stick as well. Warm up your shoes, and it doesn't hurt if your foot, I mean, if it's that bitter cold and your foot's cold, as you dry the foot, that'll warm it up. You can use heating pads to wrap around your glue. I've even had people, uh, it's kind of a two-man operation, but while you're getting the shoe and everything ready, they can sit there and with a heat gun, or even I've even seen some people use hair dryers and blow on the foot to keep the foot warm. So your shoe, your glue, and your foot, the better you can keep those three the same temperature, the better it's going to work.
Okay, Diana asks, what is the advantage of the EasyShoe glue over the VetTech Adhere?
I mean, in most cases, it's going to be personal preference, probably on some of those things there. Dan, obviously you can speak to it, but I mean,
we've had farriers use both, and either one of them works just fine.
I don't know that we could pinpoint something better than the other.
Elaine says, my horse overreaches with his right hind foot and pulls the shoes off his right foot. Would he be able to pull this shoe off?
Would he be able to? Sure. You know, it's one of the things you can do with this to prevent that. Before you put this on, you can put a bevel on the back here, so it's more slanted. So hopefully if he reaches up with that hind foot, it would deflect it. Right now it's got a small roll to it, but if you put a bigger bevel on the back, then hopefully it would hit that and just kind of glance off instead of grabbing a square corner and jerking it off.
Okay. Lori is asking, will liquid like a thrush remedy flow under the shoe and make it to the hoof surface, or would you have to remove the shoe to use something like that?
You can get in there with a hoof pick and clean everything out and put your thrush medication in. Have a longer pick, because I mean, you know, there's a lot of area underneath here, but you can clean it out. Yes.
Elizabeth is asking about availability.
Okay.
So they will be available on our website.
Yep.
They're just not there yet. Once we get them set up, I'll share the link on here and you guys can sign up for an email notification on when they come in.
Yep. And like I said, just as a reminder, starting at the 114s and going up, the first 7 sizes will be available sooner than the remaining last 3 sizes. So.
Okay. All right. How do these hold up in area type situations with fast stops?
I mean,
how do they hold up with a fast stop?
Yes.
Is that what we're asking? They will. I mean, the grip has all kinds of different grooves cut in it here, and we do make what's called quick studs that will just drill in. So they'll give you some extra traction. If you're needing a little extra traction, you could put the quick studs, you can put them in wherever you would want to on the bottom here. Typically, usually people will put one on either toe or either heel, I'm sorry, and you know, maybe put a couple up on the toe. So you know, the only place we've had that they can be a little slick is if you're in kind of a taller grass and it's a little bit wet. But with the application of the quick studs, that seems to have, you know, remedied that situation really well.
All right, that kind of leads into Anna's question. She said, what kinds of studs can be used in these? Quick studs and bigger ones too, question mark. So
the quick studs can be used if you're needing something like a turf stud or you know, the studs like they use for jumping, that's where I would go with our Versa Grip stud shoe and weld the cuffs, weld these cuffs onto that shoe and use that shoe if you're needing that big of a stud on the back.
Yep.
Chelsea's asking if they'll be available in mule or draft mule sizes.
Well, they'll be available in size 114 to
150. And then, like I said, if you wanted to go, we on our other shoes, we go up to a 170 in those. So but you would need to weld on. So like if you took the Versa Light and then welded on tabs, you could accommodate those larger sizes.
And a lot of times on a mule, they have a little more of a straight quarter. The hind shoe pattern fits the mules better than the front shoe pattern. So kind of keep that in mind.
Yep.
This is from Melina. She says, I don't know if I missed it. Have you discussed clubfoot application?
They will work just fine, but same thing. I would try the hind foot pattern. The hind pattern, yes. The hind pattern.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to see because I'm small, but basically this is what you're looking at: a front pattern and a hind pattern. So there's a narrower on those just to kind of see. These are both the same size shoe, but just one is others. So,
yeah. But the hind pattern seems to fit the club foot with less modification than the front.
Yep.
All right.
You said these will be available in sets of 2. Do you know what the cost will be on them?
Yeah, map pricing on those for a pair of these as they set with the cuffs already attached on there. You're at $46.95 for a pair.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it for the questions. Did either of you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
I don't think so.
I think we've touched them inside, outside, upside down. So
I think so.
Yes, we had a really good turnout today. A lot of people watching.
Yep, it's great. We love it.
All righty.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to draw a winner, and the winner will get a pair of these once they come in. We don't have them right now, so once they come in.
Yep.
All right, so today's winner is Kristen Lauder.
Woohoo! Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
All right, we want to thank you, Brendan and Dan, for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys having us. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for watching. But before you go, a couple quick announcements.
Remember, we have our Spraymaster Spectacular giveaway going on now. It goes on until June 24th, so get signed up for that.
And lucky you guys will be back tomorrow because we're drawing winners for the Positively Awesome giveaway.
And
So
we will have some jokes.
lucky
Everybody
you.
can't wait.
Thanks.
All right. We'll